Good morning. Well, this is the Friday morning of my trip to Las Vegas and the Mobile Beat Show. The 20th anniversary show, which quite frankly was the best ever. It's difficult now, looking back over the previous 4 days, to identify the highlights and to share with you the reasons why I think every mobile DJ should make at least one trip to this wonderful place where for very little money you can get just so much information, make so many new friends. Networking is amazing from people all around the world who have very similar issues, very similar challenges, similar markets, and the same challenges that they want to overcome. Not to mention the exhibit hall, which you've probably already seen the shots of, where you still get a chance to buy toys, and some of which can be quite competitively priced compared to the UK, as long as the electrical requirements are universal, which thankfully most of them are now. So let's just go back over the main 3 days of the show. So I'm going to concentrate on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. These are the official days. There is a day on Monday, which is like where the show overflows. And check out online on the website, you'll see that as well as the main seminars that I'm talking about today, there are also lots of breakout rooms. There are individual rooms where manufacturers such as QSC and PV have got demonstrations going on. You've got people like the Scratch DJ Academy who are offering free and paid training courses with hands-on products so that you can learn how to scratch, how you can do sound drops, and all kinds of different things. So it's not just sitting there on your bum in a room with 800 to 1,000 people. There are opportunities for you to do real almost one-on-one, but certainly in a room of maybe 20, 30, 40 people and get involved on specific subjects. The interaction game shows, there was a lot of interest and a lot of activity with them. We had some fun the other night with DigiGames and their quiz shows. So there's basically something for everyone. You don't have to be a wedding DJ to come to the show. Anyway, let's just crack on and let me talk to you about what I found was the highlight at the show. So on Tuesday, there was an interesting presentation by Matt Martindale. Now, Matt used an analogy right the way through, and to be fair, I think he got lost on some of the Americans because, maybe it was a little bit too subtle, maybe it was a little bit too clever, but I got it. It was called vine to wine. And he used an analogy of planting a vine and growing that vine and getting that vine to the point whereby it produced not just grapes, like every vine would do if left to its own, but to nurture it and to make sure that it delivers an abundance of grapes, a big bunch of rich grapes. And of course the analogy is that like when it came to planting the vine, it was like, where do you put the vine and what kind of soil is it going to best grow? So the analogy there is, am I in the right marketplace? Am I targeting the right people? Is the soil fertile? In other words, are people going to respond? And supermarkets do this all the time. Look at where people like Aldi and those people are growing their business. Think about Sainsbury's, Waitrose. Where do you find a Waitrose superstore? You don't. The different markets, and so people will invariably identify those markets and target their prospective clients. So where do you plant the vine? And the other one was fertilizing the soil. Just finding the right place and putting the product in the right area or targeting your services at the right client isn't enough. You need to fertilize it. In other words, you need to help it grow. Give it some support. In our case, the analogy means networking. It means reaching out. It means identifying to other people that were in business, that were available, and we need to drive people to see it. So in our case, that's things like web design, it's social media, all of those kind of things of how do you promote your business and give your business a realistic chance to grow. What else did he talk about? So he talked about pruning back. When you plant a vine, there's a chance it can get out of control. If you just leave it, it will send shoots off in every direction. You'll end up with lots of little growths of grapes, and that literally saps all the energy out of the tree, and it's not able to deliver a strong and a big bunch. It just little tiny, almost insignificant grapes. So you have to be cruel to be kind. You have to prune it back. You have to keep cutting it back, and the more severe you cut that vine back, the better the fruit will be at the end of the day. So from our business point of view, the analogy is, where is it going? Is your business getting out of control? Is it going all over the place? Or are you really focused? Are you concentrating and reviewing? Plan, do, review. Are you checking what you're doing? Only 20% of what you do will produce 80% of your results. So stop doing the other 80%. Duplicate your efforts on that 20%, and your business will be not only bigger, quicker, sooner, but it will be more profitable too. So that was an interesting seminar by Matt Martindale. And then later on in the day, to finish off this particular opening day, we had, this is unique for Mobile Beat, the first time we've ever had anybody that's really current, that's a superstar, that's in the music industry at the show. In the past, we've had classic people from like the Archies, and we've had people like Chubby Checker, but this year we had Redfoo, LMFAO, live on stage in a very candid interview, whereby Jason Yanni actually he went through the whole story. Tell me the story. Well, you know, how did you do this from the early days when he was a young tennis player in Europe, coming from a fairly well-connected family, it has to be said, already parents already in the music industry, particularly with the Motown label, but his sheer tenacity to be different, his sheer wish to create something original and to have fun, and to sort of bring disco environment into the modern chart, which I think everybody will agree he's done remarkably well. So it was really interesting to see the way that he did it. For me, in his presentation over 3 hours, he mentioned the universe and the secret. Now, for those of you that don't already know, I'm a big fan of the theory of the universe and the secret. And if you haven't already seen it, go online, Google it. There's some videos on YouTube. But this is really the epitome of positive mental attitude. It's the idea that I can do it. I'm not going to listen to people that say I can't do it. I'm not even going to worry about how or look at the structure. I'm just going to envision that I can do this. I do this in performance. I do this in my day-to-day life. I do it when I create workshops. I look at my goal first, and I identify where that goal is, and I put that goal up there. Some people use vision boards. They use photographs and images to remind them. If you want a particularly nice car or a particular new phone or anything like that, you set out to get it. You put it up there. You put the vision up there. You put the image up there, and you go for it. And that's exactly what Redfoo did. He said, "This is what I want to do, and I don't care about the people that are going to knock me back, and the people that say it won't work, or the people that say it's old-fashioned, or that it'll never work." He did it, and say 3 times he mentioned the secret, and that for me was amazing. So positive mental attitude, the universe, use it. You've got nothing to lose. Just be positive. Later on that evening, of course, he performed live on stage. We weren't able to video it for legal rights and all those kind of things. They don't like that kind of stuff over here, which is fine, which is why we didn't see any of the live content. Now, I know some people did record it, particularly with smartphones. I mean, I was using a webcam, so it was pretty obvious what I was doing. It's not professional. Believe me, it's not professional to come to Las Vegas and record these things. The whole seminar was videoed, and it will be available on the Mobile Beat website. So if you didn't get on the plane and come to the show, then I do believe that the highlights will be shown, and obviously you'll have to pay for them, but you'll be able to view them time and time again from the comfort of your own home. So on Wednesday, it was a pleasure as ever to see Bill Herman live on stage and doing things the way that he does them, and his event on the morning was called, let me just check to make sure my notes, This Changes Everything. This Changes Everything. And the emphasis of his seminar was literally that what you do and the way you do it can change everything. Lots of things in business. If you make some subtle changes, you can go from being in debt to being in profits. You can go from having a small amount of leads to a great number of leads, and lots of different referrals. So it was the process of making changes in your life, making changes, but the big game. Small changes can make a big difference, just like the 1% solution with Randy Bartlett. So he showed us an example of a bride and groom's first dance, and it was absolutely amazing. And what was different with this first dance was that he had been talking to the couple about their first dance, and they'd given them a fairly standard off-the-shelf song. But then when talking to the bride and groom about how they met and what was actually their song, it turned out to be a totally different song. But the recording was quite old. It was not very good for broadcast, and yet it was their song, and it became their song because it was a song that the groom had actually been learning on his guitar whilst they were dating. So Bill says, so, you're telling me that this is really your song, and but there isn't a good version that we could use, so why don't you record the song yourself? I've got a friend who's got a studio. Let's go down to the studio. Let's get you in front of the mic and record this song, and we'll play your version of your song for your bride on the day, which is brilliant. However, he also said, but we want the voice drops as well. So, okay, that was something else, a double whammy, a double challenge. So, end result was amazing. Not a dry eye in the house when people realized, particularly the bride who hadn't been let in on the secret. And she's whispering to Bill, making gestures to her from the dance floor, saying, this isn't what we chose. And he's saying, I know, just wait, just listen. And then she hears her husband's voice explaining what's happening in the moment, and then him singing the song, and the whole room, well, needless to say, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. Fabulous talent, and we learned that Bill is still pushing the envelope, and he was proud to say that his latest contract has been signed for $7,500. So this guy really knows what he's talking about. He's walking the walk, and he's talking the talk. Later on that day, to finish off, we had a guy who I'd never met before, didn't know him, is not really associated for me, certainly not with the mobile DJ industry, but apparently he has a big connection with the bar industry in America. His name was John Taffer, and John Taffer has a show on TV at the moment called Bar Rescue. I think that's what it's called. Pretty much like the Hotel Inspector or Gordon Ramsay's restaurant program, where people go into a distressed business, a business that's on its knees, it's going to fold, and they give it a complete makeover. They not only make over the building, but they take all the staff in hand, they look at the management, and they completely question and then represent the business plan, the trading image of the business. And so that's what John Taffer does. So there's lots of experience in the music industry. In fact, we learned that he was responsible way before digital music. He was responsible for providing a pre-programmed music service based on the time of day for bars and restaurants around the world, where they pre-package playlists to reflect the time of day and the mood stroke atmosphere that would be appropriate when people walked onto the premises. And he hit us with a brick straight away. He said, you're not in the entertainment industry, you're not in the music industry. Don't think of yourself as those things. We do, but what he was really saying was that you're in the industry of creating reactions. It's a reactive industry. And then he expanded and says, what you do every time you make an introduction, every time you put, in his words, a needle on the record or you press play, what you're looking to do is generate a positive reactional experience. An experience of positive reactions. And it's true. Every time we make an announcement, we want people to know what's happening. Every time we make an introduction, we need to connect people with whoever we're introducing. And when we play a piece of music, we want something to happen in a positive way. We want energy in the room. We want to change the genre. We want to stir it up, whatever. And he said in particular that the classic for him, and the one which sums up this kind of thing, is the kind of instruction that he would have given to his club DJs, and he would have split up the mechanics of the dance floor in lots of different ways. But one of the descriptions he used was left turn. Left turn. And left turn for him musically means, okay, you may have been playing current genre, R&B, urban, got a packed dance floor and you've been doing that for 20 minutes, and he would signal his DJ, do a left turn now. And that left turn would be, throw some heavy metal on, let's do some serious rock. So it would be like Sweet Home Alabama, or it would be a bit of, I don't know, Iron Maiden, or whatever they knew worked in that genre, in that club. That was where the left turn was. It wasn't subtle. It was like, whoa, let's change. And left turn meant everybody that was dancing to the urban, or the majority, or dancing to the Motown, whatever was playing previously, would walk off the dance floor deliberately. We're getting rid of those, but to the right, coming in, would be the people that were the rockers, that loved the rock. That's what they've been waiting for. And of course, the people who have walked off go to the bar, they get something to drink, they chill out, they go to the loo, they do whatever they need to do. So they're ready for the next time the set changes. And that set might change slightly differently next time, it might evolve. But the important thing for him was left turn. So be brave. Can you do a left turn, and can you do a left turn and not have a negative reaction of an empty dance floor, but have a positive reaction, an experience where people say, great, this is us, let's move on to the dance floor, it's our turn. So that was John Taffer. I shall certainly be researching him on the internet and finding out more about his story, and maybe more nuggets to share. That brings us to yesterday, Thursday, which was the last day, day 3, the official day of the 4-day event. And what better way to start than Randy Bartlett with a seminar regarding skill and talent versus skill. A lot of DJs say you can't be taught to DJ, and they're right in a limited way. They say it's a talent, it's something I was born with, it's in me, and they're right. But that is also true of people who are natural at sport, people who are naturally gifted with a voice or can play an instrument. They're talented, and they will do well. They can get by, certainly compared to the people that don't have similar talents. But they'll never be great. They'll always be mediocre to good. Skills are where you take the talent and you home it in, you refine it, you work on it, you take it to a completely different level. And skills, therefore, are vitally important if you don't have a great deal of talent. And skill, of course, only comes from training, from coaching, from repeating the process, cutting out what doesn't work, and making small improvements, like the 1% solution, the whole theory states and preaches and practices. So Randy again showed us some examples, this time physically, of him in the way that he does things, complete with a few fluffs. This was a similar presentation to what we had at the Pro Mobile conference in Oxford. Slightly different with the content. Maybe 30% of the content was more home-based, but still a great presentation, full of lots of great tips on how to make sure that you don't rely on talent, but that you keep pushing and reinvesting in your skills. After that, we had a couple of presentations by two guys, Jason Spencer and George Lopez, both of which have been involved in the industry for quite a while. And this was more to do with business, to be fair. Jason Spencer in particular put up some slides, which again you've seen in the other videos, which turns the whole business model upside down, or at least it rearranges things. Traditionally, in our business, we generate an income. We then deduct all of the expenses it costs us to create that income and provide the services, and what's left is our profit. What Jason's done is he's actually split that out a little bit further, and he's created some more levels of differentiation where he's divided up the pot. But to all intents and purposes, the bottom line on his presentation was pay yourself first. So bring the money in, work out from a business plan exactly how much money you expect to take out of this. Limited companies do this very, very well, because they will, your accountants, generally speaking, will will pay you minimum wage every month so that you can judge the performance of your business but that you don't starve. And then you take money out of the business by way of dividends based on the profits that your business creates. So good, sound, solid thinking. Most DJs, of course, get the money in, pay all the expenses out, and then probably spend too much money on expenses and find there's nothing left for them. Wrong way of doing it. So the idea is pay yourself, take your wage first, then your expenses, and that should leave you with your profit. There's a lot more to it than that. It was very simple. There was lots of advice on creating multiple bank accounts to help you achieve this as well. So instead of just having one bank account, having a bank account whereby every month or every quarter you take your income account and you disperse it into the relevant places. So you disperse some of it into an account for your salary, you disperse some of it into your account for taxes, you put some of it into your account because you know it will be the percentage for profit, and you put the rest into your expense account. And then you can fine tune it. But the good news is that gives you a visual indication on the status of those accounts as to the constant involvement and development and the success or not, as the case may be, of your business. So that was on the final day. We did that. Jim Cerrone was also on top form in a very light-hearted way, looking behind the scenes of what goes on, not just in your life, but in the day-to-day running of your business and in the actual day of performance. So as we would expect from Jim, it was very detailed, it was very methodical, and it was really looking and I suppose supporting the idea that behind the scenes, coming to the show is behind the scenes. What goes on at the show, investing time in education, investing time in training, having a mentor, as everybody that is successful, nearly everybody name-checked and dropped the names of their mentor, not just one, but mentors. And the fact that they're still going to places like Toastmasters, they're still going to improv lessons. So nothing wholly new, but presented in a different way, in a fascinating way, with regards to the way that Jim prepares, particularly for his performances and on the day with the other service providers, and really taking control that if things don't go right, then it's probably your fault, even though you may not have been directly involved. You maybe could have changed something, or you could have foreseen something that might have happened if you were in the loop. So the DJ that just says, well, I'm just going to turn up and play, I'm not going to talk to the hotel staff, I'm not going to talk to the caterer, I'm not going to talk to the videographer, those are the ones that are going to miss out, because at some point something's going to go wrong, and you may well have been able to see that coming. And if you did, and you were able to make a small change or interject and just make a suggestion, then you could be seen as the savior of the event, and those professionals that you're working with will want to recommend you and say not only that you're competent at what you do, but that you care about the overall success of the event. This applies to every event, corporate events in particular, as well as our weddings. And for me, the highlight of the show has to be the return of Todd Mitchum, because as you know, we feature Todd Mitchum's Hey DJ Focus in the workshops. He's a guy that I saw in the very, very early days, my first visit in 2002. Todd was quite young and admittedly green back then. 2001, he was very cocky, he was very full of himself, and he upset a lot of people. But the theme of Todd's seminar was typically called disruption. And disruption is something which has followed Todd throughout his career. It's been what's driven him, but it's also what's affected him in his life. So there's probably nobody better to talk about the whole topic of disruption, but disruption in a positive way. It's creating a positive experience by disrupting something, by being different. And he was keen to point out disruption is not destruction. It's not a negative thing. Just because we're disrupting things, we could possibly say interrupt, disrupt. Disrupt means it's like the left curve. It's like something's going really, really good, but we're going to disrupt that. We're going to go somewhere else. It's short, it's sharp, it's sudden, but it generates a positive reaction. And that's where Todd was coming from with the seminar today. And he was able to illustrate that in all kinds of different ways, not least in the way his own businesses have developed and disrupted the status quo, the norm. And he got a reputation for being different, for doing things in a different way. So how disruptive can you be in what you do? How different can you be in what you do? And Todd's message really is life is for living. Don't do what you always did. Don't regret that you didn't change things. What can you go away? The challenge that he said to us was, what didn't I do last year? What didn't I do that I should have done? Write it down, share it with a colleague. And he kept going off on a tangent and coming back, but he'd say, I haven't forgotten. You've got to make this pledge. And then he'd tell us some more. Very humorous, very high energy. And no, I haven't forgotten, he'd say. You're still going to do this at the end. And sure enough, just before the close, he says, now, you've written it down, turn to whoever's next to you, whether you know them or you don't, and tell them what it is that you should have done last year, that you didn't do, the reason why, and then commit to doing it. So for me, it's my Wedding Day Secrets book. I need to get that book in front of brides, and if I can't rely on sponsors to do it, then I'm going to do it myself. So we're already in talks with people like Harry Kilb, and hopefully, well, not hopefully, no, we'll take that away. The vision, the prophecy. The prophecy is that by this time next year, we will have a Wedding Day Secrets book, a glossy book, a book full of images, available for retail through Amazon and hopefully other sources, whereby that book will go in front of brides. And my secondary pledge is that I will market that book, I will promote that book in bridal forums and in any area where I know brides are active. So next year, it will probably take us the most of this year. Next year we will reinvent Wedding Day Secrets for brides. It may even have a different title. It will certainly have a new cover. It will be full of glossy photographs. And for me, it would be great if we could put it in the bookshops. I'll be content with Amazon, but if we can get in the bookshops, or if we make it such a good product that the current sponsors want to buy it at cost and then put it out to the brides, then that'll be good for me. So that's what I'm taking away from Las Vegas, thanks to Todd Mitchum. So that's it in a nutshell for me. We'll do more details. You can ask me more about the show one-on-one when we do our mentorship. This only goes out to the mentorship group. So beginning week after next, when I'm back in Cyprus, we'll start rolling with the agenda and see the gold nuggets that we can pull out of my trip to Las Vegas. Thanks for watching. I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.